focus and go again?
It's just our lot at the moment, you know. We're having to deal with adversity all the time. We started the game awfully well, you know, almost scored just before that moment, and then you know, obviously we lose a key player, and in those kind of circumstances. So, but you know, this lot are nothing if not resilient. They just keep going, and they did today.
Yeah. So to the game, you said in your pre-match, whatever energy they've got, they will give it. They absolutely did, didn't they?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They have been, and it's incredible when you think of, you know, we've got a couple of 18-year-olds out there, one playing out of position, you know, left back who's not a left back, a goalkeeper making his debut. The boys gave everything. You know, we had to work hard, and even at the end of the game, they've put on some significant talent. You know, we can't make those changes, but the guys kept going. We've got a deserved goal over it.
Yeah, your goalkeeper, young goalkeeper, 21, Antonin Kinski. I mean, he's going to fit right in, isn't he? What a confident lad.
Yeah, no, we kind of sensed that. You know, I certainly did when I had my first chat to him before we signed him, and yeah, it's a big part of it. You know, when you're thinking about, you know, maybe I downplayed it before the game, but you know, that's a big occasion for a young man. First time out of the country in such a significant game against a massive opponent. He handled himself outstandingly.
Yeah, and when you say and have said through the difficult moments, you know, there's a team in there. You see that with the young players tonight. I mean, Lucas Bergvall, not just the goal.
Outstanding. Yeah, he was. Yeah, I mean, I've just seen so much growth. It's just that's been masked by our poor form, our results, you know. But I've got no doubt we'll get through this period, and we'll get our players back. And what we'll have found is, in the meantime, we've got some real players ready to sort of turn us into the team we want to be.
How much did you enjoy the goal? The work from Dom Solanke is top draw.
Yeah, unbelievable. Again, I don't know where he gets the energy from, and you know, at times I feel sorry for him, you know, just to give him a bit of a break, but he just keeps soldiering on, and you know, against two pretty big centre halves there, and he still had the composure, and unbelievable finish. Look, I thought we deserved it on the night. You know, there was fine margins. The offside was, you know, just so close. We had a great chance before that. So, you know, I think we deserved the victory, and really pleased the players get rewards.
Yeah, I could see you shaking your head when the goal was disallowed. Is that just general dislike of VAR? Did you spot something particular or specific with that decision?
If you're under any sort of illusions, yeah, total dislike.
Not a fan?
Yeah, no, that hasn't changed. And if people think that announcement tonight added anything to the game, I'm sorry.
Was that the head shaking? Is that the reason?
Well, I mean, really, just get on with it, mate. It used to be, you know, you put your flag up and the game goes on. But anyway, doesn't matter.
Yeah, listen, look, I know before I asked this, you've had more than your fair share of bad luck. Did you get a slice of luck with the goal? Lucas Bergvall lucky to be on the pitch?
Yeah, great question. No, he wasn't. He wasn't. Because because again, people misinterpret my comments from the other day. The rule is, and we've been told for quite a while now, that if advantage gets played, as long as it's not a cynical tackle, then the yellow card doesn't, because we've been screaming for it for the last 2 months. It's happened to us consistently. Have a look at our games. And we've asked the officials, and they've said, if we play advantage, as long as it's not a cynical tackle, then the yellow card doesn't get paid. Now, to me, that was pretty clear.
Okay, so it's lucky you didn't get your way and no one listened then.
No, I'm saying, well, that's the rule. So we had to cop it for the last 6 weeks, and we kind of abided by the rules today.
So given the context, everything around, I know it's only half-time, but this goes down as a special night, doesn't it?
It does, because the players get rewarded for, you know, what they've been through for the last 2 months. And, yeah, you're right. We haven't sort of done anything. It's only half-time, and, you know, going to Liverpool's not easy. But just that feeling of having a really strong victory against a top opponent, I want the players to feel good about it, because, you know, they've put in a massive shift this last couple of months with little reward, and it hasn't been through the want of trying.
And that second season trophy just a little bit closer?
Okay. All right, yeah, well, you know, people can keep sort of mocking me about it.
I'm absolutely not doing that.
We'll see.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, mate.
We're not sure, are we, about this?
I'm pretty
play
sure.
advantage.
I think he's got that wrong.
Yeah.
I think you are.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We're not sure
it's
about
not usual to go back and book somebody, but referees certainly can do that. And it was definitely a second yellow card. But you know, he's obviously spoken to someone. I think when you speak to referees, I think most of them would say that I've seen it happen, and I think that's probably what ends up saving him, the fact that a lot happens after that. But I think if you everyone would say that is a second yellow card. It's a
I thought he
cynical
might have come out
tackle.
and said he was unfortunate to get the first one. Not the fact that, I mean, for me it was a clear second yellow card. The second challenge was a yellow card, so that was a surprise for me. I thought he might have gone down the first one.
Yeah, that's the first one. I mean, the other thing with what he said was, unless it is a cynical tackle, you could argue that is a cynical tackle. You could argue, couldn't you, Izzy?
It's a very cynical tackle.
We're trying to stop a
he's
counter-attack.
stopping a counter-attack, but you can see it happening before it happens, because you know that he's already on a yellow card and you think he's actually going to get sent off here. And even after the play resumed, you just see this happening a mile off. He's trying to stop Tsimikas. He's on a high. He's had a fantastic game. It's a late challenge. Yes, it's a yellow card. It doesn't get given, and then ironically he goes on and scores the winner.
Just one final thing on Tottenham. When we look ahead to the second leg, and we mentioned it earlier, there are a lot of players who've been missing tonight and have been missing recently. Suspension, injuries, illnesses. Several of them will be back for that second leg.
Yeah, and that is huge. I said they couldn't win the tie tonight, but they could lose it, and I believe that. I mean, tonight was.
You also said it'd be 6-0.
No, I said it couldn't. No, I was here when it was 6-0. Yeah, no, I mean, look, the Spurs fans will have been coming knowing that only happened just before Christmas, and that Liverpool can do that to the best. And Spurs have been depleted with injuries, confidence, you name it. And then they had another setback when Benson Kern got injured so early on in the game, and they reacted tremendously well. But there's an awful long way to go in this tie. Believe me, go into Anfield, it's a tough
I wouldn't have
place
picked
to go.
1-0 today, though.
No.
I didn't think they could keep Liverpool, you know, but it just shows you how brave they were, how they defended, and that little bit of quality at the end. It was a brilliant performance from Spurs.
And if you weren't with us at half-time, the latest we have on Bentancur is that he was conscious and talking and on his way to hospital for further tests. The Liverpool point of view now, Arne Slot with Pat.
Well, Arne, you're usually able to walk into these interviews and provide a very calm analysis. Is that a bit more difficult to do this evening?
No, not at all. It's 15, 20 minutes, half an hour after the game, so it's not so difficult to be calm. The moment it happens, it's more difficult to stay calm. But afterwards, you have to accept the decision, and that's what we have to do.
Yeah, okay. I mean, obvious question, I suppose. What do you make of the decision not to give a second yellow to Lucas Bergvall?
I think everyone who stands in front of camera will tell you that it had a big influence on the game. It didn't feel to me as if we were ever going to lose here. You never know. In the moment, things can change. This is what we saw. So it was the decision he made had a lot of impact, of course, on the result tonight. And there's nothing else I can say about it. It is. I think everybody would tell you this. Yeah,
there are loads of consequences that kind of ripple out from it. One of them being Tsimikas is then not on the pitch to help you defend the goal.
Yeah. That is in general a rule I definitely don't like. Not only about today, but it happened during this whole season, that if a player is injured or gets a hard tackle, it's not always necessary to give a yellow. Maybe this time he did, but not always necessary to give a yellow. But if a player then gets treatment, then he always has to go out for 30 and sometimes 45 seconds. I don't really understand why this is always necessary, but okay, it's a rule, so I accept it. Then conceding it and even the player scoring it, that maybe should have had his second yellow card is not only for us not ideal, but I think, of course I don't know. I think maybe even the referee was like, is this really happening? Is he scoring now that goal? But he couldn't change it, and he didn't have to speak to the whole stadium why he made the decision, because it wasn't a VAR decision.
Have you spoken to him now in the tunnel?
No, the fourth official told me that why he thought it wasn't a second yellow, and of course he heard that probably from the referee. Then when we came inside, Robbo was asking the referee, what we can say about it is that he said he didn't stop the counter-attack. Now, every manager would prefer, of course, a second yellow compared to a counter-attack that goes on without one player and that still has to go 80 yards maybe. And then the second thing is if you stop a counter-attack with a reckless challenge, then he could still give his yellow, but he didn't see it as a reckless challenge. And probably that's the second thing we can debate about. So, yeah. It is what it is. The positive thing for us is that we hate to lose. I hate to lose. But the good thing is, if you ever have to lose, it's better to lose when there's still a second leg to be played.
Why was it such a different game to the league match here 2.5 weeks ago?
I'm not so sure if it was such a different game than it was back then. The biggest difference is that we saw 9 goals back then and we only saw 1 today. But I think it was, again, a game where both teams wanted to press the other team high. Again, it was a team where both teams wanted to bring the ball out from the back. And chances, but not as many as the last time. But for me, I like this performance from us a bit more than the one on Sunday. But it's also a completely different game, facing a team that wants to play the ball out from the back, facing a team that plays with 4 attackers instead of 2, facing a team that presses high instead of a low block. So, yeah, that's also completely different than last Sunday.
In possession, would you say tonight, not quite at your best, or is that down to what you've just outlined with the way Tottenham press, the number of attackers they have?
Sometimes if you play with more attackers, that doesn't help you. Not always in the way you press and in defense. So that's probably not the excuse. But we always knew that they would come up with a reaction after the 6-3. We always knew how important this is, not only for the players but also for the fans over here. So we could expect maybe something else. But I do agree with you. We probably played one of our best, maybe the best game against Tottenham 2 weeks ago, and we're hoping to reach this level every single time, but that's not going to be easy. That's also not going to happen in the upcoming 20, 30 games we're going to play. This, for me, was definitely good enough to go away here with a result. I think we maybe even deserved, as a minimum, we deserved to have a result, and maybe even with 1 point, I would have been a bit disappointed. But to go away with a loss is definitely not what we deserve today.
But it does set you up for the second leg at Anfield, all to play for.
It's clear what we have to do, but everybody knows about the injuries of Tottenham, and the window is still open, so they can come up maybe with even a stronger team at Anfield. The good thing for us is then we are there with 60,000 people. Far from ideal starting position when we play the second leg. But the good thing is we have a second leg to play for.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Arne. Take care.
I mean, it is set up brilliantly, isn't it, for that second leg? The atmosphere and the needle around Anfield, given the way that winner was scored, will just go up a couple of notches.
Yeah, and Virgil van Djik, when he did his post-match interview, was already referring to it, and it's in 4 weeks' time. There's plenty of games to be played between now and then, but like you say, I mean, that adds an added spice to what will already be a fantastic game.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it has been... Obviously, Sunday was tough with the result, because I think everybody in that stadium thought they were going to wipe the floor of Manchester United. It didn't happen. Today, I certainly felt that Liverpool, with the team that he picked, would have won this game. They go to Accrington. Is Accrington at home in the FA Cup? And then a huge game next midweek against Nottingham Forest, who have been in fantastic form. That's a real challenge. It's a case of digging in now. This is I wouldn't call it a wobble, but it's been a tough 3 or 4 days for them. So they've got to make sure they get their concentration back. Still a lot to be played in these. And I think in the same with the game we watched yesterday as well with Arsenal. That isn't over yet. It's going to be a really tough game for Newcastle. They've got to get across the line. But what Michael said it at the start of the show. He said, just give themselves something to go on for Tottenham Hotspur, and that's what they've certainly done.
Oh, 100%, Jamie. Yeah, they can be proud tonight, like we've said, and they take the lead to Anfield on February the 6th.
But the other positives inside, you mentioned some of the young players. You mentioned the goalkeeper and Archie Gray and Bergvall, but also those players who have maybe been more squad players over Jed Spence playing as a left back. Dragusin, who's been in and out and had to go off at the weekend with illness at half time, was excellent alongside Gray.
And these players have been questioned well over recent weeks, and it's all well and good talking about your Mickey van der Vens, your Romeros, your Vicarios. How much these players feel? All right, you're talking about the big players, and we understand they'll realise that, and they've never shirked. They've always put themselves out there, and they've got the rewards tonight, and they'll enjoy it. They go to Tamworth, which will be interesting for them at the weekend in the FA Cup, and then a North London derby.
Well.
That'll be different, and then a North London derby next Wednesday. But they should be delighted with that performance. They've given themselves a head start going to Anfield, but they're going to have to play as well as they did tonight, and hopefully Liverpool will have an off night again, because Anfield is a fortress. We know that. We've seen how good Liverpool have been all season, but it's Spurs night tonight.
I think Ange deserves a bit of credit as well. I think the way he's managed this period, and they're probably going to start getting players back soon as well to add to to that squad as well, for the ones who performed particularly well tonight. I think they're looking like things might start looking up for them, but I think Ange Postecoglou, he's remained calm and focused, and I think he proved a lot of people wrong tonight.
We are in for a couple of cracking second legs then in